சமயம் வந்துவிட்டது.
ஒரு பெரிய பவுண்டி, ஒன் ஷாட் காம்ப்ளெக்ஸ்குள்ள போயிடும்.
இப்போ வெளிச்சம் வர நேரம் வந்துடுச்சு. பயப்படாது, புது பிரபஞ்சம் வந்துகிட்டு இருக்கு.
Hi, hello and welcome to Cinema Express. My name is Narayani.
And I am Jayabhuvaneshwari.
And today we are going to talk about the Mahabharatha aspects of Kalki, and we'll be delving into the details of how we found a few parallels between their epic and the film. And we're also going to talk about what we are going to expect from the sequel from Kalki, and a few other things that if they're going to go forward with the same, we're also going to talk about that as well.
This is going to be a spoiler-filled conversation. So in case you've not got Kalki 2898 AD yet, go to theatres, watch it and come back to watch our discussion on the film.
So I would really like to know what your thoughts were after watching Kalki 2898 AD, because we've been talking about Mahabharata throughout the discussion that we've had before watching the film.
Yeah, I think the trailer and all, we've been like, talking about, hey, this, that and theories and everything.
Exactly. It set up the whole anticipation for the whole film.
Yeah.
And naturally, a lot of epic buffs who've been waiting, because we're so deprived of watching an epic on screen, right? It's been a long time since something like this came about. So naturally, there's a lot of buzz. And I found a lot of parallels and a lot of Mahabharata related characters and figurines here and there. There was a nice callback and a nice like a golden egg for us to decode. Right. So what did you think about that?
So first, I was very impressed by how they had taken in Mahabharata, because see, that's where our India's originality comes, right? Like sci-fi everybody can do, but what's unique about Indian sci-fi is that we take stories from our own history, which is great. But when I was watching all of the plot twists, for example, where Krishna first says to repent like for his curse, the way is to live on and come and protect him when he takes the form of Kalki, right? So I was like, wait, is that really there in the Mahabharata? So that question was like just playing in my mind when I was watching the film.
Okay.
So what I did was, after I watched the film, because I'm not that big of an expert in Mahabharata, I kind of like spoke to someone who is actually like like really good at it, who has been reading the book again and again, and he told me that no, this is actually not a part of Mahabharata. So Ashwatthama is cursed only to walk through earth for 3,000 years.
Okay.
And there is so it's only that they're Chiranjeevis, which means they have a very long life.
Right.
So it does not necessarily mean Ashwatthama lives to see Kali Yuga, that too especially 800 years from now, which is like really, really far from the Mahabharata times, right? So that was one thing that these people have fictionalized for the sake of the story, which was, of course, they have creative liberty and all of that. But yeah,
I remember Ashwatthama to be cursed throughout the end of the world, at least towards the end of the Kalki.
Kali Yuga.
Kali Yuga.
No, but apparently this is what the Mahabharata says, that he will have to live for 3,000 years. All that he will have to deal with his wounds and all of those things are the same.
Right.
But it's apparently only for 3,000 years.
Okay.
So yeah, that was fictionalized. But yeah, you wanted to speak about some characters that you said you had found, like some connections perhaps?
Yeah, so basically, you remember the small cameo that Dulquer Salmaan had did,
yeah,
right? And we kind of felt that, oh my god, this was such a small character, and we were kind of hoping for him to do more. So a lot of theories that are going around the internet are basically how Dulquer Salmaan might be playing Parashuram.
Right, because Parashuram is the one who teaches Karna everything, right?
Yeah,
but then they don't, in the end, Karna and Parashuram have a fight. Like basically Parashuram curses Karna.
Correct, yeah.
Right. Oh, that could be true.
And if you've noticed, Bhairava when he's young and Bhairava when he's old, during both the timelines, we'll see Dulquer Salmaan the same as a very young person.
Right.
And so, according to epics, Parashuram is kind of a person who never ages.
Yeah, he's also a Chiranjeevi actually. Some way, yeah.
So in some way, it may also be true that he might be playing Parashuram, and we might see more of his character in the second part, or the parts that are yet to come.
But that's pretty crazy, because Parashuram was a part of Ramayana. He had an avatar before that, an whole avatar before that, and then Ramayana, then Mahabharata, and then he's coming beyond Mahabharata times. It's again a very fictionalized thing, I guess, because I don't think that would be true, right? Like in real life. But I mean, it's interesting how they have given it a fictional twist in Kalki. Another thing that I think the Mahabharata portions, of course, was the final twist where they proved, they showed Bhairava could be a reincarnation of Karna, right? So there was this dialogue from Krishna's perspective telling Arjuna that you are guarded by the Hanuman's flag and I am the one who's your Sarathi. So you winning is not a surprise. Him being able to stand opposite such a powerful force and still, almost giving a winning fight is the big thing. But again, according to Mahabharata, there is no superior warrior between Arjuna and Karna. So it's just that they had their respective days. And even before the Kurukshetra war, Arjuna has defeated Karna in 3 other instances.
Right.
So during Draupadi's Swayamvara, of course, Draupadi chooses Arjuna over Karna, but that's considered a defeat. And then in the Virata Parvam, it happens once. So like this, it has happened before the Kurukshetra war. So I mean, it's just a matter. Of course, Karna is a very unfortunate soul. That is, there's no doubt about that. From his birth, he's been the kind of love and everything that the Pandavas got. He was supposed to be one of the Pandavas, right? So he is very unfortunate that way.
Absolutely.
But again, Mahabharata in no way establishes that Karna is a superior warrior than Arjuna, like this film does.
Yeah, I always find him a worthy challenger to every other Pandava that is there, especially Arjuna, because he has the same little capabilities and he was raised by pretty good teachers, and he's also learned through a lot of hard ways. So obviously there might be lessons from his life and the lessons from that he learned from his teacher and the unfortunate incidents that he's faced in his life. So I find him to be a very worthy challenger.
Right. Although this has been the thing over the years that Karna, even through the Karna films and everything, there's always a portrayal of Karna to be a little superior than if he was given the right opportunities, right?
Correct.
Mahabharata necessarily does not say that, apparently, is what I've heard from the person I spoke to. But yeah, I think we can move on to the parallels in the film that we were discussing even while we were watching the film.
While during the pre-intermission sequence, when Bhairava what happens is that a wheel falls off and he's like forced to just hold it so that he's saving the people.
And the other side shows Bhairava, the actual Kala Bhairava, right? Yeah.
So during that time, what happened is that I was literally taken back to the time when Karna, during his last dying moment, he was not going to die at that time.
Before his dying
just exactly, yeah. So what happens is that his chariot gets stuck in the mud and he steps out of the chariot to take it off, and that's when he dies. That's when
Arjuna hits him, right?
Yeah. So this kind of reminded me of that particular incident. So it was at that time I felt that he might be playing Karna, and it was revealed later.
Interesting parallels, no?
Yeah.
And I think it's the same pre-intermission scene where Deepika Padukone's iconic walk through the fire happens. Now I even saw a reel quoting this, but I remember thinking in the theater exactly when it was happening. She's walking through the fire, she's resolute because she has to save this baby in some way. She's walking through the fire, and the fire is so, Agni is so determined to give way to her because she's carrying God. And that visual scene just looked exactly like how the Yamuna paved way, when Vasudeva was carrying Krishna to
like a basket.
Yeah, to Gokulam, to Yashoda's house, to Nanda Baba's house. So that whole thing, that I was like, there it was water and here it is fire. And now someone has cut a reel from the Little Krishna series and put it, and they're like, hey, I've seen this somewhere. It's a classic, that reel template.
Yeah.
So I mean, these are some parallels that we noticed, and it was interesting actually. It was nice to watch. These parallels were nice to watch. Yeah. So if we were I don't know what to expect from the second sequel. I mean, this was more of an introduction. The entire film was like a long introduction to these characters and setting the place and all of that. But what are some aspects you think you will be interested to see in the second? Because we can't say what they're going to take up, right?
Right. So the thing was, usually when such a magnum opus kind of a film is introduced to the audience, the first part has a lot of world building, and I feel this part was also had a lot of world building, and that's why we did not get a lot of emotional connection between the characters, because it had to introduce a lot of characters. It had to introduce the world of Shambhala and the whole
Kashi and complex,
the complex and everything. They had to do literally everything, and that probably in the second season I'm expecting that they would probably delve into the psyche of the characters, probably expect more of how, say, Prabhas, Bhairava is gonna discover his hidden identity. Since he has, like, this is just my assumption, since he has fragments of the astra that with him, he already had touched it once, and this is just like any other science fiction film. And since he had already touched it once, he has formed a connection with it. So probably because of that, he might have dreams surrounding how
Like
he was using
nightmares or
that,
something,
like that
right.
flashes of how
Right.
he used it in the previous times
Birth.
and all that. Yeah. And
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice to watch. What else would you be expecting?
And like probably like say we only got like a few minutes of Supreme Yaskin as Kamal Hassan as Supreme Yaskin. It was like glorious. He was pulling off a villain with ease, and we still don't know what Project K is and why these women are being imprisoned the way they are and why they're being treated like lab subjects.
I mean, it's clear that the serum is helping him in some way, but what is he going to gain if he fully, like, because we see that the drop of the serum is transforming him into such a superior, even more strong superior being, if I may.
Yeah.
So what if a whole vial of the serum, what would it do to Yaskin, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And he's like, I'll come this time to find her. And another point I want to mention about Yaskin is at the fag end of the film, he strikes an amazing pose, a Bharatanatyam pose, and he narrates, he chants a shloka. So I read somewhere that it was Sri Sri. He's a philosophical writer in Andhra. His poem called Jagannathuni Rathachakralu or something. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing this incorrectly because I'm not too sure about Telugu. So I couldn't find the meaning of this, but Sri Sri is said to be a communist writer actually. So people are like, is Yaskin also a communist? Like, is his ideas coming from communism and things like that? So that's something I am not too sure. This is just something I read. So I have no idea about the poem or his character, but I just thought I could share this with you because it was interesting.
And speaking of all these theories, I want to really understand who Deepika really is, because she says that she doesn't even remember who her parents are, or
and she's literally a code.
Yeah, and she doesn't even have a name. Up until she's named in the end by Annabelle called Sumati, we don't even know who she is. Probably because Kalki is there within her or something. By some chance, what if she understands who she is, or probably her connection to Kalki in the previous Yuga or something like that. That might form a really interesting connection in the second half.
Yeah. What if she also is like a reincarnation of someone or something like that? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, because Ashwatthama is there and then now Karna is there. Now, if they're fighting for something else, why is Kalki born? And then Kalki's mother, who is that?
Yeah.
Because they keep saying that you need a lot of patience to birth Kalki, birth the
and
god
see,
himself.
we've seen the mothers of God, right? Like for Krishna, it was Devaki, for I mean, biologically at least. For Rama, it was Kausalya. And then for like, say for example, Vamana, it was Aditi. So similarly, what if she's one of such characters? Or I don't know who Kalki's mother is in like in actual scriptures. I don't know the name of her mother. I don't know if it's actually Sumati. That also I'm not too sure. So yeah, but that would be interesting to explore the backstory of who Deepika's character is. Like, she's not just some 80, right? She's chosen, she's the chosen one for some reason. So yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I think a lot of things to look forward to, but I don't know how many aspects they're going to cover in the sequel, and I think it's going to take the next 4 years. But until then, we'll have these theories to.
We also have the birth of Kalki himself. Who's going to be born? We don't know who they will be.
Yeah,
we don't know anything about it.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to the sequel. Let's see. I mean, yeah, I'm expecting a lot more from the sequel. Basically, that's how I would like to put it, because all the world building is done. Let's get into the story somehow.
And it's also the beginning of a cinematic universe. So
right. Yeah.
Maybe spin-offs, third part, and who knows, a prequel.
Maybe. Yeah. We're probably getting way ahead of ourselves. That's it for this conversation about Kalki 289880. There's a lot more to discuss, but that's it for this short video. Until another such discussion, this is Narayani and Jayabhuvaneshwari signing off. Thank you.